My name is Max Barrows. I live in Worcester, Vermont. I live in the sticks of my state. I live in a place where there are more dirt roads than paved. I work for Green Mountain Self-Advocates. We are a disability rights organization. We are run and operated by people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our organization has been around for 27 years. We support over 600 members with disabilities who belong to 23 peer-run self-advocacy groups. Together, these local groups work to change attitudes that hold people back from achieving their dreams. We support people with disabilities to make their own decisions and to speak up for themselves. For example, I am a founding member of my local group. I got started when I was transitioning out of high school. I formed the local group with peers in my high school in Montpelier, Vermont. Our focus was to learn about self-advocacy and to support each other as we entered the world of work. We called ourselves the Capital Advocates Together, and we continue to meet to this day. I'm here today to celebrate employers who include people with disabilities. I want to say thank you for all you do to recruit, hire, and keep people with disabilities working. Thank you for giving us a chance. Thank you for your commitment to supporting diversity. Now, I did my homework. I checked out how New Hampshire is doing at employing people with disabilities. Here is what I discovered. Employers like you across the state of New Hampshire are employing people with disabilities at a higher rate than the country as a whole. Thank you for your efforts to lead the way. Because of you, people see what we have to offer. People see that we are capable of working just like everyone else. The good news is that employing people with disabilities is also good for business. Hiring people with disabilities supports innovation and creative approaches. Often, when you hire people with disabilities, you have to think outside the box. Thank you for being creative when it comes to figuring out accommodations. Many employers have found that adapting their business model to include people with disabilities is good for all workers and can improve their bottom line. If this presentation were live, I would be eager to hear your stories about including people with disabilities as part of your workforce. I hope you have an opportunity at some point to share how employing people with disabilities has made a personal difference in your lives. I look forward to hearing each of your success stories. We can learn from your perspective on how having an inclusive workforce has been and is good for your business. Many thanks to the New Hampshire Developmental Disabilities Council for honoring your efforts. On July 26th, the DD Council in New Hampshire came together with other DD councils across the country to celebrate the 31st anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. It is hard to believe that it has been 31 years since the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law. It was the most important achievement for the disability rights movement during my lifetime so far. We have lots to be proud of, but our work to achieve equal opportunities for people with disabilities continues. Basically, our message as people with disabilities is, we want what you got. 31 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act got rid of discrimination in employment. However, today, less than 40% of people with some kind of disability actually have jobs. My advice for the future of our disability rights movement is this. People with disabilities need the people in our lives to get better at avoiding making assumptions about what we can or cannot do. Equal opportunity means give me or us a chance to make a mistake. We appreciate everyone's support, but please don't protect us from living our lives. Let me tell you how working has made a difference in my life. So I'm a person who belongs to several diverse cultural groups. I'm Black, I'm autistic, I live in a rural town, I'm a high school graduate, and most importantly, I have a career. After spending 15 months working from home during the pandemic, I recognized how much my job is the key to me being involved in my community. I use it as a tool to motivate myself to be engaged in society. What I do at work is very important, but working for the past 15 years has also opened doors to such more in my life. Actually 14 years, but still, that's a pretty good chunk of time. I got my first job when I was still in high school. Like any teenager, one of my biggest motivations to work was to make money, of course. I could no longer rely on allowance from my parents. I am actually glad my parents stopped giving me an allowance when I was 18. Being cut off was the push I needed to enter the world of work. I soon discovered how having a job helped me become more independent. In fact, my sense of independence is still closely linked to me having a job. All kinds of new situations come up when working. Having a job sets my mind to be comfortable solving problems that may arise. My first job came at a time in my life when I realized that I needed to start taking care of myself more. I was in the habit of relying on others. Each day I went to work, I discovered strengths that I was not as aware of. I learned I was capable of so much more than I ever imagined. It helped me go down the direction of speaking up for myself more. My first job were in the restaurant business washing dishes. I was young and trying to figure out how to be a good employee. Now I was working in the dish pit. So it may sound funny for me to say this, but I took the job seriously. I showed up early for each shift. I really wanted to do a good job. As you might guess, working in a pizza joint can get fast-paced at times. For whatever reason, I felt a few coworkers were becoming more and more impatient with me. I was young and not sure how to handle the situation. Looking back, I am really glad I had a boss who had my back. My boss took a personal interest in me. He made me feel welcome. He was approachable. When problems came up, I felt comfortable asking for his help. He stepped in and helped smooth things over with my coworkers. Now, sometimes a person with a disability might have a job coach assisting them. I have experience both working with a job coach and working on my own. It depends on the complexity of the job. What I always appreciate though, is I appreciate having my boss deal with me directly. In the self-advocacy world, we have a saying that guides our movement. It is, nothing about us without us. Whatever is good and whatever is good news or bad news, I can take it. Having a job is part of my life. One of the first questions people ask when they meet someone is, what do you do? The important role is held by most citizens and must be extended to people with disabilities. Involvement in our economy is an essential component of true inclusion and a civil rights issue. It's all about dignity and respect. It's not just about building self-confidence, but also about getting people to see our abilities to work. We should live in the community, have a job or be self-employed, and pay taxes. Working real jobs for real pay gives us a purpose. It makes us feel included and provides self-determination. Speaking of which, after graduating high school, I was getting tired of washing dishes. Doing the same old, same old. I was barely earning minimum wage. Overall, I wanted more in life. I had big dreams to travel and meet new people, so I knew it was time to make a change. I spoke up. I joined a local self-advocacy group. At first, I volunteered to help at our statewide self-advocacy conferences. Then, as my confidence grew, I ran to be president of my local group. I told the important people in my life that I was looking for a different job. Through these people in my life, I found out that Green Mountain Self-Advocates had an opening for an outreach director. So I went for it. Today, I mentor my peers to speak up for themselves and try new things. Being a peer, mentor, and disability advocate helps me stay positive. To be honest, having something meaningful to do in my life reduces feelings of depression. Continuing to work each day continues to give me the motivation to be engaged in my community. Switching from working in the dish pit to becoming a professional advocate was a big risk for me to take. In the self-advocacy movement, we support people with disabilities to take risks. We believe people should try new things to take risks throughout their lives. We call this having the dignity of risk. And to be honest, we need to be allowed to make mistakes, just like people without disabilities do all the time. After all, it is how we all learn and how we all grow. Often people with disabilities are held to a higher standard than those without disabilities. When we make mistakes, it often leads to harsher consequences. People with disabilities do not need or want to be overprotected. All we want is to be able to make mistakes and the opportunity to learn from them. We grow from experience, just like everyone else. People with disabilities must be given the same chances as people without disabilities to make mistakes. Dignity of risk means allowing us to fail. This is the best way for us to learn. This is something that was lost during the pandemic. For many years, we have been challenged by our providers and families who have been stepping in to make decisions for us during COVID. We have to return to the days of people having high expectations for us. We need to try things out for ourselves. We want to be the ones who direct our own lives. We appreciate all the help we got from our families and friends to try and get by during COVID. But getting back to normal means gaining back control of our lives. I now want to describe how the employment of people with disabilities is a #1 goal for the self-advocacy movement. Let me mention a thing or two about what self-advocacy is. We are a civil rights movement. We advocate for justice for people with disabilities to have the same opportunities in life as everyone else. This is why having a meaningful job is so important to us. The disability rights movement has come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. Unfortunately, people with disabilities are often looked down on more than looked up to. Society continues to send a strong message that we are not capable, we are too slow. It ties into the false idea that we, as people with disabilities, are not able to do a lot of the things for ourselves like adults. Unfortunately, it is a pretty broadly accepted mindset. It casts a shadow over our desires to work. Confidence plays a role, a large role in our success. If you as managers show us that you have confidence in us, then we'll build it within ourselves as well. Think about that. Confidence plays a large role in our successes. So if you as managers show us that you have confidence in us, it helps us build our confidence as well. Trust me. Brittany is a self-advocate. I'm just going to tell you this story. Brittany is a self-advocate who works in a grocery store. When I asked her about her job, she said, at work, when there is a big load of groceries, I try to keep up. It is hard to keep up. It's fast-paced, and I cannot do a fast pace. At night, I write in my journal about work, and I tell myself, it's okay to be slow. It's okay to be slow. Brittany struggles with feeling confident about her ability to work, but Brittany loves her job. Her boss at the grocery store considers Brittany to be an integral part of their workforce. Brittany tells me all the time about how her coworkers engage her and are supportive of her. Brittany said, my job took me on. My job took me on. They are not trying to change me. They like me. I feel a part of their work family. This is why the self-advocacy movement has employment as our #1 goal. Our #1 goal. When we have a job, we feel we can take care of ourselves. It reduces feelings of isolation. It's a way to make friends. Like most others, we want to give back to our communities. We want to make a difference in the lives of others. Having a job makes us feel like we are worth something. We feel good about ourselves. Yes, society does often send strong messages that we don't belong. That is why we appreciate employers like you. You give us a real way to show the world that we are capable. We have a lot to offer. My message is that people with disabilities give more than we take. Our place in the community should be fully realized. We should be given new opportunities to contribute to society. You can count on us. When employers like you give us a chance, it really can be life-changing. It really can. So, thank you for all of what you do, and keep up the awesome work of thriving toward true inclusion and having us be a part and making sure that we are part of society and contributing factors in it. Thank you so much. Please keep up the good work.